So, hello everybody. I'm Dave, and I'm one of the counsellors at Wellbeing. And what we'll do today is just go through this workshop. The workshop's called "Call It a Night Sleep Workshop," and it's designed to help whoever partakes in how in gaining good, effective sleep. Student services, and we are the sports services for the university. We are Wellbeing. In amongst the umbrella of services that we have finance, the chaplaincy, but we are one of the legs of the support within the student services. Okay, in terms of sleep, people vary greatly in their need for sleep. Popular idea is that everybody needs 7 or 8 hours, and this is not true. Although for an adult 7 to 9 hours is recommended and sounds really nice, students are not getting that 7 to 9 hours um, sleep. But some people, range, for different hours of sleep. Many studies have shown that people can range between sort of needing 6 to 10 hours a night, and also the amount varies through your lifetime. So, like elderly people, you always find older people get up early, or they go to bed early and they get up early, and they need less sleep. So it was a well-known fact that Margaret Thatcher was famous for having 4 hours sleep a night, and Winston Churchill having lots and lots of sleep. He credits his success to like always having naps and falling asleep and stuff. So between 5 and 12 hours is the norm for adults, and this varies through your life. And babies, all what do babies do? They just wake up, they get fed, and they go to sleep. And teenagers are pretty much the same, 8 to 10 hours. And when you get to 65, the requirement for sleep drops off. Right. So some common thinking problems for having some sleep. A good night's sleep is, things like I toss and turn for hours on end. No matter what I do, I just can't seem to get off to sleep. I never feel like I have a proper night's sleep. I sleep very lightly and seem to drift in and out of sleep. I wake up 2 or 3 hours before I need to get up and just lie there trying to drop off back to sleep. I'm very restless through the night, often waking and not able to get back to sleep. I have no trouble sleeping. In fact, I have way too much sleep, which can be a problem. You often hear people say, "No, I've been asleep all night. I woke up at 10 o'clock and I still feel tired." That's quite a common theme as well. So the sleep cycle. Okay, so sleep takes place in different stages. At least five have been identified. So broadly speaking, sleep can be divided into REM sleep, rapid eye movement, non-rapid eye movement sleep. Now, throughout the night, sleep typically repeats every 90 minutes. Okay, so you go from REM to non-REM every 90 minutes. And what I'll do is I'll come back to this bit because this bit's really interesting, because this is how, if we adhere to this is how we can find out our best time and our best time to go to sleep, or the best time to find our effective sleep at night. So I'll come back to that bit. All right. So the non-REM sleep is stage one. So between being awake and falling asleep. So that bit when you just close your eyes and you're asleep, but you can hear what's going on. You kind of like the slightest noise would wake you up. That's the light sleep. So the onset of sleep, becoming disengaged. So this is what's going on in your body as you start to fall asleep. The becoming disengaged from your surroundings, so you become less. You hear what's going on in the background. Your breathing and heart rate are regular, and your body temperature drops. So no sleeping in a cool room is helpful. It's a really great tip. I don't know what your sleeping arrangements are, but if you've got a separate bedroom, it's a really great idea to open a window a couple of hours before you go to bed. Get that room nice and cold, and because the body temperature's got to drop. The quicker it drops, the quicker you kind of fall asleep. And a lot of people, you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, I love to jump in a hot bed and I love to get under my covers and it's red hot," but that's going against what your body wants for sleep. Your body needs to drop, the temperature needs to drop, and what you're doing by jumping into a bed with an electric blanket is you're raising it straight up. It confuses everything. So the deepest sleep, it's that's when we restore. That's when our body feels nourished, if you like. Blood pressure drops, breathing becomes slower, your muscles are relaxed, and your blood supply to the muscles increases. Your tissue growth, for those that train. When you lift weights, if you want to build muscle, it's at night time that's what happens when you're asleep. Hormones are released and energy is restored. This is why sleep is so important, because You know what it's like when you've not had a good night's sleep and you wake up the next day. It's like, oh, you're like a bear with a sore head and you don't want to do anything. And that's the chances are is you haven't had that non-REM sleep, enough of that deep sleep, which is what makes you feel energized the next morning. Okay, your REM sleep. You're asleep for 25% of the night. REM sleep first occurs about 90 minutes after falling asleep and reoccurs every 90 minutes, getting longer into the night. The REM sleep provides energy to the brain and body. So this is why when we wake up, we feel that we feel energized, you know. The brain is active, dreams occur, you know. That's because the dreaming's happening in the light sleep. You know, you don't dream when you're in a deep sleep. You dream when you're in that REM sleep, that very light stuff, because your brain's firing and there's all sorts going on. Your eyes dart back and forth, and the body becomes immobile and relaxed as the muscles are turned off. And this is dropping now. This is the body dropping into that deeper sort of non-REM stuff. In addition, levels of hormone and cortisol are increased and overnight to promote alertness in the morning. So it's really important that the body is allowed to drop into that deep sleep and drop and come out and drop. It's really important that it does that. Now, if you terms in terms of medication, if you think of medication, when you take sleep medication, what it actually does is it knocks you out and puts you to sleep. But what it actually does is it plummets you straight into that deep sleep area and it'll keep you there. What's happening when you're in that deep sleep area is, well, you're not getting none of the restorative stuff. Your brain's not getting energized. You know, you're not feeling that vitalized. And then when you wake up, often you'll hear people say, "Oh, I took a sleeping tablet last night and I've woke up and I just feel so shattered. I'm not, you know, I just feel like I could go back to bed." And that's because what's happened is, and I'll show you on the next slide, this is you in the light sleep. And what happens is, as you plummet down into the deep sleep, we're only ever in deep sleep for sort of, I don't know, 20 minutes at a time. And then we're back up again. Our brain's alert. And then we drop again back into deep sleep. And then we're alert. Can you see the pattern? That is a really good night's sleep. You know, went to bed at 10, woke up at 7, and he went from being awake to deep sleep, awake, deep sleep. And that is an ideal amount of sleep. Yeah? But sometimes people stay along the top and they don't hit this bit. Sometimes they plummet down here and they stay there. Tell you a little bit about sleep paralysis. It's completely harmless, but it can be quite scary because what's happening is your brain is in this area here, yeah, which means it's quite alert. It can hear what's going on outside, but it's still asleep, yeah. But your body is down here, so there's no movement from your muscles. There's no movement from anything because you're actually your muscles have been switched off. Everything's not working because you're in this part, the respiratory part. Brain's actually going, whoa, what's happening? Which is when you get images of, you know, some people say there's people sitting on your chest and holding you down, but it only ever lasts for a few minutes, but it can be quite scary, but it's completely harmless. But that's the mechanism of it. Body are in two different places. It rarely happens, but when it does, it's don't worry about it. Let it put itself right. What tends to happen is you wake up. This camel's hump sort of diagram, we'll come back to this because this is a really great way of determining the best time for you to fall asleep. So just to give you a little idea about the vicious cycles of poor sleep, you know, how thoughts can impact how we sleep, how it can impact what we're thinking about, and it can impact our behavior. Initially, poor night's sleep due to stress, pain, or other reason. Now that's quite common. You know, you've got uni work on, or you've got an injury, or you're just stressed. Okay, so your thoughts. Yeah, what you say to yourself is, "Oh, I'll not be able to cope if I don't get 8 hours kip." There's your thought. Yeah. Now that thought has made you feel really worried. You're telling yourself, "I need 8 hours kip." So the emotions and physical feelings, further sleeplessness, and now it goes into the behavior. Now, does anybody nap during the day? Napping is no, we don't promote napping. We absolutely don't promote napping because it disrupts your natural body's rhythm. You know, like human beings function really great during the day, yeah, because we just do. What we've learned over the centuries is that daytime is for daytime and nighttime is for sleep. Yeah, unless you do nights or unless you know, nocturnal. But Generally, humans, day and night, that's how we function. At nighttime, your body preps for sleep. It does it itself. You don't need to help it along. There's things happening in your brain and in your body at nighttime which allow you to fall asleep. By napping, what you're actually doing is you're disrupting that natural rhythm. What you're disrupting is your body's ability to do it naturally. Alcohol, a lot of people, "Oh, I'll have a couple of cans or I'll have a glass of wine and I'll sleep tonight." Now, that theory is no good because what alcohol does is it's a stimulant. Alcohol, if we go back to that slide, alcohol will never let you get to this part. What alcohol does is it kind of keeps you here, which is why you wake up with a hangover. You don't remember the night. You've been tossing and turning all night. You've not had that restoratory sleep. And what happens with the behaviors is it just continues into your thoughts. I can't sleep. I'm just gonna feel like this and I'm just gonna behave more. I'm gonna have more naps, drink more alcohol. Can you see? Because if we continue along that, we're in the areas of insomnia where we're literally telling ourselves we can't sleep. So preconditions of sleep, broadly speaking, the brain, there are two centers involved in being asleep and awake. Okay, the alertness center, which is dominant when we're awake. Okay, so this is the night and day stuff that I talked about a moment ago, which is dominant when we're awake. So that's during the day. The sleep center, which is dominant when we're asleep. To activate the sleep center, we need body and mind to be relaxed. Okay, external stimuli such as thoughts. Remember, we're not going to think about anything negative. We're going to try and not think about I need 8 hours sleep. Okay, noise, so that needs to be reduced. Telly down, lights, dim lights rather than the big light, because all of these things like noise and light and thoughts can prevent the brain from switching from the alertness center into the sleep center. Now this is the brain's really clever bit of naturally being able to fall asleep. Brain's really clever, it's really complex, but we've got to try and allow it to do what it does best. What keeps us awake usually, or what stops us from sleeping, is lifestyle choices. Body's more than capable of drifting off into sleep at night time. Whatever choices we make, bottles of wine, exercise, food, smoking, drugs, whatever choices that are made are going to disrupt the body's capability of naturally falling asleep. So sleep hygiene, these are the things that can affect sleep hygiene. So sleep's in the center. So your environment. So depending on where you live, you might live in a noisy street, or there might be kids, or the next door neighbours might be playing music or up all night. Drinks, canned fizzy drinks. I don't know if you do that stuff. If you drink fizzy drinks, or they're a no-no. They're a stimulant. Thoughts. We've talked about how thoughts can impact our sleep and how they impact how we feel and our behaviour. Exercise. Exercise is not recommended. A couple of hours before. What do we know about exercise? Is it releases endorphins. It releases hormones which make us feel good. They're all stimulants, like serotonin. If that's getting released into your body, you've got no chance of falling asleep because we're feeling good. And behaviors, now the behaviors are things such as your routine. If you're having a glass of wine or if you're having some food before going to bed, again, that's something that we need to think about. The whole what we need to do is help our body do its thing. This is the whole idea. Okay, so these are the tips now. These are the do's and don'ts. These are things that we need to try and when we talked about behaviors and lifestyle choices, these are the ones that are encouraged. Have you heard of something called melatonin? It gets released and it sits behind the eyes. And what the job of melatonin is to calm the brain. It's not a sleep. It's not a sleep hormone, it doesn't send you to sleep, but it calms the brain down. This is the body now doing its thing, releases chemicals, okay, and it's saying to the brain, let's start to think about going to sleep. And what light does is it burns away melatonin. We're talking about big lights in the house. We're talking about phone screens. We're talking about blue screens, television, laptops. We're talking about all of that. This is the cool bit that we talked about. Make your bedroom as comfortable place to be in, and the temperature being ideal. 18 to 22. Now that feels pretty cold, but I don't know about yourself, but my bedroom's got to be freezing cold before I get in it because it just makes everything easier. A window
Mhm.
open an hour before you get into bed. So the lights out. So make the bedroom dark, thick curtains, blackout blinds. I know I have them and they're brilliant. They do help. They really do. And have a comfortable mattress. It's not, and it sounds a bit preachy, me saying, make sure you've got a really good mattress, to students who struggle with money but this is what they recommend, like you've got a nice comfortable mattress and one that's right for you, and pillows that are right for you, believe it or not. Pillows can be, some people like little wafer thin things and some people like great big puffy pillows. But, if you've got the wrong type of pillow, it can impact how you're going to fall asleep. Diet. Now, alcohol, um, it might relax you and chill you out. We know what alcohol does. People tend to have this, I'll have a few cans, or if I have a drink, I'll know I'll get to sleep. Try not to do it because, like I said earlier, alcohol, it may relax you, but it disrupts the the natural rhythm that your body's trying to do. You know, Again, poor sleep is down to our lifestyle. It's down to the choices we make. It really is. Can't stress that enough. If we can make the right choices and allow our body to do what it does naturally, we shouldn't have any real issues with sleep. Cigarettes, they are a stimulant, and eating a meal 2 or 3 hours before regular bedtime. So when we find out our regular bedtime and our time that we're going to go to sleep, we can maybe do a little bit of planning, because getting a good night's sleep is about a routine. And if you can get into a really good routine, your sleep will, your body will go, thank you. She's letting me do my thing. She's not going for a run. It's getting to this time. She's doing that. Yeah, everything's working. Can you see? So main meals, couple of hours. Your body needs time to process that. Foods and drinks that contain caffeine, sugar, tea. So tea and coffee, Coca-Cola, energy drinks in the evening are a no-no if we can avoid them. All right. The caffeine stays in your body for up to 8 hours. 2 cups of coffee. So that's quite a long time, really. So maybe eat a light snack before bed, and warm milky drink. I don't know. This is a bit of a myth. Warm milky drink. It is a bit of a myth because it's been proven, and I'm allowed to say that because when I did this training, the guy that was doing the training, the doctor that was doing the training, he says, if it's part of your routine, then fine. If having a cup of hot chocolate is part of your bedtime routine, then don't change it, because this is about routine. Remember. Okay. Um, Exercise. So exercise ideally could be done during the day, not too late, all right, because of that endorphin release, because of that hormone release that happens. Don't exercise too strenuously late at night, and it's best not to do exercise 3 hours before bedtime, as it stimulates the body, like we talked about a moment ago. 20 minutes a day of aerobic exercise, a brisk walk, jogging or cycling, swimming or dancing can help you feel happier, and that's that chemical that's released when we're exercise, and help you feel sleep better. Two 10-minute slots are as good as a 20-minute session. So, regular daily exercise may help us to get to sleep quicker. Yeah, it can increase the amount of sleep that we have per night. Endorphins are released into our blood and have a positive effect on our mood, and can increase our confidence, which, a lot of people do struggle with confidence. I know a lot of students do struggle with confidence. So, a good night's sleep, and exercise through the day can increase that. Okay, behaviors. So this is what we talked about earlier. Um, Again, our body is doing its thing. I can't stress that enough. It knows what it's doing. Yeah, it's our behavior, it's our routine, it's our lifestyle choices that we make that disrupt that. You know, so create patterns of behaviors that promote good sleep. So everything we talked about a moment ago, i.e., diet, preparing yourself for sleep. Let's not put an action movie on at midnight if we're trying to go to sleep. Let's maybe put some bed clothing on. Uh, let's dim the lights. Let's do all them things. Let's not smoke. Don't drink coffee. Keep the fizzy drinks out the way. Let's open the window. Can you see what we're trying to do? So it's create your pattern of behavior into a routine. So it's important to associate the bedroom with calm. If you're a student and you live in accommodation, students tend to have everything in the one room. You know, the bed, the little chair, the workspace where they eat, the shower, everything gets done in the one room. So this kind of goes against that. So the bedroom is for relaxation and sleep. You know, and if we associate our bedroom with difficult emotions like frustration and not being able to sleep, this causes anxiety. If we go to bed expecting not to sleep, that causes anxiety. So this is a learned pattern called conditioned insomnia. You know, what insomnias tend to do, insomniacs, what they tend to do is tell themselves literally that they're not going to be able to sleep. They condition themselves. They say to themselves, "I'm not going to sleep tonight." So what they do is they create this world of not sleep. So they'll set up their games console and they'll put their comfy chair in front of the games console and they'll get, they'll maybe have a few cans of beer and they'll maybe have some pizza and they'll get ready for a night of no sleep. You know? So people with conditioned insomnia often sleep better away from their home because their home becomes a negative place. So avoid all nighters in the library or at home. So try and implement some pre-sleep routine. An hour before bed, unwind, prepare for sleep. Dim the lights is what I talked about. Get that routine going. Listen to some calm music or have a bath or a shower. It's about routine. So avoid using electronic devices. The lights send a message to the brain similar to the light from the sun, which promotes our natural waking. What gets us up on a morning is the sunlight, believe it or not. Burns away that remaining, that last bit of melatonin and triggers that alert part of the brain. The brain split into two, sleep and awake. Well, the sunlight triggers that alert, which is why when it comes through the curtains, you kind of go, oh, and it wakes you up straight away. But that's how human beings operate. Okay, so avoid naps. Don't take naps during the day to catch up on sleep because it never really does. You never catch up on sleep. You just disrupt the body's natural ability. Avoid upsetting conversations and avoid the news because lately the news is, especially lately, it's nothing but toxic. It's really negative. I remember years ago, the news would always finish with a really light story. I really like, oh, the cat stuck up the tree. They just pound you with negative stories
Mm.
and get up at the same time each day. So if you go to bed at midnight and if 7 o'clock's a good time, I mean, the sun's coming through the windows now at 7, get up at 7 o'clock, get up at 8, no matter what time, no matter what you're doing in the day, it's about routine. Your brain will know after a very short time if you're getting up at 8. Have you ever heard them people that say, I don't need an alarm clock? People go, I don't need an alarm clock. I just wake up at 8 o'clock. That's because they've probably been doing that for a while. So yeah, try and get up at the same time each day because this is all about promoting a routine. So thoughts. Again, this is a negative thought that we can get involved in. This is our automatic thought here. Um, okay, so example: a good friend walks past you in the street and ignores you. Yeah. Now, your automatic thought might be what? Ignore what's on the right hand side of this diagram. But what might your automatic thought think? She's ignoring me. I must have upset her. What have I done? What have I done to upset her? And so there's your automatic thought. Yeah. Now, how's that gonna make you feel? You might want to investigate it and see what it is. That's our automatic thought. Now, the way to challenge our automatic thought is with an alternative thought. Okay, so we've done the automatic bit and we feel worried. So now we're going to go back and go, hang on a minute. Right, she's my best mate. She walked past me. The alternative thought might be that she didn't see me. It can happen. Or, she's just really busy, or she might have a lot on her mind herself. Yeah, so we've changed the automatic thought into something a little bit more that's a little bit more rational or a little bit
Yeah.
more logical, you know, because our automatic thought went straight to that negative place of she doesn't like me. What have I done? So the alternative thought is she's probably just busy. You're not going to get that worried if you thought she was busy, or you know, if she's got stuff on her mind. I'll not dwell on it. I'll just let it be, and I'll probably say to her next time I see her, "Oh, I saw you the other day. Can you see?" So that's your two different thought patterns. One's a little bit negative and a bit automatic, and these can impact how we move forward and try and sleep. We're now thinking and we're worried and confused. And again, that's the last place we want to be if we're trying to fall asleep. So these are just some thoughts, some what they call thinking traps. These are some that you might relate to. You know, if you think about a mental filter, when we notice only what the filter wants or allows us to notice, we dismiss things that fit. Like our kitchen strainers will just catch the pasta and let all the positive water flow out. You know, that's mental filter. Mind reading, this is quite a common one. Oh, I bet she's thinking this, and I bet she's done that, and I just know that she's thinking this about me. Yeah, they're all quite negative and toxic, you know, but we do them. You know, prediction, believing that we know what's going to happen in the future. Again, how can we ever predict the future? You know, but catastrophizing again is something that we all do. You know, like, and that example I've just gave there. If I don't get 69 in this next one, I'm gonna fail. I'm never gonna work. No one will love me. I'll never get a house, and I'll be on the streets. So judgments, making judgments and evaluations about events or ourselves, rather describing what we actually see. Okay, so emotional reasoning. I feel bad, so it must be bad. I feel anxious, so I must be in danger. Another one. Mountains and molehills. Exaggerating, making mountain. That's one speaks for itself. I think making mountains out of molehills, exaggerating the risk of danger or negatives, minimizing the odds of how things are most likely to turn out, or minimizing the positives. Yeah, focusing on negatives is a really bad thinking trap. So thought again, another few more thought processes that we go through: compare and despair, seeing the only good and positive aspects in others and comparing ourselves negatively against them. Critical self, putting ourselves down, self-criticism, blaming ourselves for events or situations that are not totally our responsibility. You know, these are all thought processes that impact behavior and feelings. And again, we don't want to get away from feeling frustrated and worried, because that's what impacts our body's natural ability to do its thing. Black and white thinking, again, that kind of speaks for itself. It's either that or that. I'm either going to pass or fail, you know, but there's nothing in the middle. You know, like if well, you might not fail, you might not pass, but there might be some work to do. What can I do what's in the middle? Shoulds and musts. Now, this is a really good one for students. People putting pressure on themselves, you know, saying things like I should, I must, you know, puts pressure on you, on yourself, and sets unrealistic expectations. So remember that. So putting the day to rest. She doesn't look like she's going to get much sleep, does she? Make a list of worries and thoughts, either in your mind or you can actually do it practically. And ask yourself with these worries. And I always like to do this practically because it's symbolic. If you're actively doing it, then you're actively thinking it. So pen and paper, any worries, write them down. Yeah. Make a list and separate the two lists. Yeah. So ask yourself, are these worries real? Are they hypothetical or are they real? So am I worried? Is it hypothetical? Is it real? Um, so make a plan for the real worries. Yeah, the ones that we can do something about, which is like phone bill, uh, assignment, deadline, speak to tutor. You know, the things that we can actually do things about. Um, write them down, and the things that we can't do anything about, just push them to one side. Then they don't really belong in the worry. You can't do anything about them. You can't change them. And that's a really good way of separating worry. It's how we work with worry. We say, right, what can I do? What can I do about that? If I can, let's do it. If not, well, it goes over that side. And I don't want to know because I can't impact that worry. And that's a really good way of using imagery to visualize all the files closing in your mind for the evening. There is so many um, meditating, not so much apps, but if you go on YouTube and you know, like, I'm not suggesting that you stare at your phone because that's a stimulant. Like turn your phone upside down so you're not looking at the screen, and just have it on in the background, meditate. And there's so many for me to list. Honestly, if you just go on YouTube and type in sleep hypnosis or sleep mindfulness or sleep relaxation, there's hundreds of them. And again, you just pick one, press play, turn your phone over, whether you've got earphones in or you can just have it on in the background. They talk through your breathing. They get you really relaxed, and they're fabulous. I can't recommend them enough. So people can begin to develop a dislike or a fear of bed because for them, bed is a place of stress. And we talked about this earlier briefly. Um, and feeling desperate and being stuck awake. So when they look at their bed, they go, "Oh my God, I'm just going to lie there all night." The plan is to retrain the brain and expect and want to sleep. Sleep retraining can help people get back into a sleep pattern. It cuts out wasted time in bed. This may mean going to bed a little bit later than usual and getting up during the night, but the amount of time asleep remains the same. It means pushing your bedtime. So if you go to bed early and wake up in the middle of the night, it means pushing that clock around so you go to bed later and you get that more effective sleep. The extra time out of bed must be spent on calming. So when you can't sleep, you're saying to yourself, "I can't sleep," and that vicious cycle is happening. That one we talked about earlier, you know. So the idea is we get out of bed. It needs to be away from frustration. It needs to be away from thoughts. It needs to be somewhere calm and quiet. This technique can be difficult because we're in bed and we think that because we're in bed, we're going to go to sleep. So sleep retraining, this is remember this program now is designed for people who really, really, really struggle with getting to sleep. Now, this is this is designed to help people who suffer with insomnia. We only use our bedroom for two things. Yeah, sleep and sexual activity. Remember that? We don't have a cup of coffee on the bed. We don't eat food on the bed. We don't study on the bed. We don't do anything else. So if you're not asleep within 20 minutes of getting into bed, this is really important. This might sound really difficult, but we leave the bedroom, and I'll tell you why in a moment. If you're awake during the night and are unable to get back to sleep within 20 minutes, repeat step 3, which is leave the bedroom. Yeah. Get up each time in the morning, which we talked about. And step 6, we don't nap during the day. So take into consideration all the previous hints and tips about sleep hygiene. Take into consideration everything we've talked about, i.e., behavior, and what, like, you are now thinking about what you've been doing wrong, and what those little things that you didn't realize. Well, now we're going to put it all into action. Yeah. So take into consideration your behavior, and that includes naps, it includes everything, food, exercise, the lot. Yeah. So complete a sleep diary to track your progress. Now that's optional if you want to do that. Aim for sleep gradually improving over the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's not an overnight thing. It's not right. You know, this is it. It's a perseverance, and I want you to monitor it over the next couple of weeks. Keep doing the things that we've talked about, and over 2 weeks, let me know how it goes. And acknowledge the little success and keep consistent. So, if you wake up and you feel like, "Oh my God, I had a good night's sleep," what happened there? What time did I go to bed? What did I do? Did I put my pajamas on? Did I do all of them routine things? Oh my God, it worked. And just like acknowledge it. You know, maybe maybe it's whatever you did that aided that good success. Bring it in and use it again. Make it part of your routine. So hopefully we've discussed the role and the purpose of sleep today, and common difficulties with sleep. And again, and I'm going to say it one more time, and I've said it 100 times today. But if I can get that message across, if it's the one thing that sticks in your mind from today, then we've achieved something. Okay, sleep. Our body is more than capable of falling asleep on its own. Let it do its thing naturally. It's got all the right components and all the right aids to assist in good sleep. Now, what stops us is lifestyle and behavior. That's what stops our patterns of sleep.